Hello and welcome to this breaking news edition of Real Take Sports Talk. Some big news from the NFL leading up to the Super Bowl. Again, we did not expect a lot of trades to happen before the Super Bowl, but it looks like Matthew Stafford from the Detroit Lions is going to be traded to the Los Angeles Rams in exchange for Jared Goff and a third-round pick this year and two future first-round picks, meaning Jared Goff, his tenure in LA, done. Ryan Gosling is over. It looks like he is on his way to to Detroit. So this is something that I don't think a lot of people saw coming up until the last few days, because it was revealed that Matthew Stafford's destination, his big trade destination that he wanted to go to, ended up being LA. We weren't sure how that was going to happen. We heard reports that John Wolford, who was Jared Goff's backup, was going to be in competition with him. So we knew that Jared Goff was kind of on icy roads. He was kind of on thin ice as far as it goes in LA. But to see something like this, one sense you get from the Rams was they were very aggressive in the way that they wanted to move on from Jared Goff. They knew, Sean McVay knew that this was not the guy to lead them back to a Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl eventually, because this is the goal that McVay has had for a long time. And it looks like that's not going to be accomplished with Jared Goff. And instead, Matthew Stafford enters the picture. Matthew Stafford, 12 years in Detroit, 12 years of surefire mediocrity in Detroit. Didn't lead to much, didn't win a playoff game. But we all know that the dude has talent. He's always had it. He's always shown the ability of probably one of the strongest arms in the NFL, right up there with Aaron Rodgers and Pat Mahomes. But question becomes now, the Rams. The Rams are the team. They traded for Jalen Ramsey. They gave Aaron Donald a huge contract. They've now traded for Matthew Stafford. Now they are in the picture as far as one of the top tier teams, because one of the big things holding them back was that offense. That offense, for the first 2 years of McVay's career in LA, was their strong suit, and people were touting how he fixed Jared Goff in the past 2 years has become their weak link. So Matthew Stafford coming in with Robert Woods and others to throw to, I think that's going to be very helpful for that team. That team's going to thrive with Matthew Stafford. That offense is going to do a lot better. And especially now, Stafford has a defense to lean on, which in years in Detroit, he's never really had a big defense to lean on. So I think Stafford is a good fit for LA. Now, the big thing for LA is, why do you make this trade? Why do you give up as much as you did? And I think that LA is they are in a very aggressive mood right now. They are in the mood where it's Super Bowl or bust. And it has been Super Bowl or bust in LA for a pretty long time. Ever since they made that big trade for Jalen Ramsey, I think it was very clear that they were willing to go to any lengths at that point to make sure that they win a Super Bowl. Not get to a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. Because Jalen Ramsey was traded. They got rid of Marcus Peters. He went to the Ravens. And he was supposed to come in and make that team better. And he did in a lot of ways. But the quarterback position, they're paying Jared Goff all this money, and he's not producing on the field. They saw an opportunity to get rid of him to Detroit, and we'll talk about what it means specifically for Detroit, because this could be big for them as well. But I do think that the LA Rams are obviously gonna end up being one of the big winners of this trade early on, at least, because I do think now that they are in that contention area. Can they beat the best teams in the NFC? I think so. I think they can be right up there with the Packers. I think they can be right up there with Tampa Bay. They're going to be right up there with all the best teams. They might even be the best team right now. Long term, this could mean disaster for the team, because now they're facing having no first-round picks up until the year 2023. But logic would tell you can't miss on a first-round pick if you don't got any, right? Now let's move on to Detroit and Jared Goff. Goff is going to Detroit, and it's a weird situation for him to be in. If you're the Detroit general manager, you're probably feeling very good about yourself right now. And as a Rams fan, I feel okay. We have someone in the chat. As a Rams fan, I absolutely love this trade. You should, at least in the short term. Next few years, you guys are going to be contenders moving forward. Now, for the Detroit Lions and Goff again has been facing in the past few years. This has been he's been in a little bit of a tailspin. He's been declining in his play, and a lot of that happened right after he went to the Super Bowl and got paid, and that's not a good look. I think Detroit made this move because they know that they're going to be in a rebuild for a little bit, and they saw a way to get some first round picks in exchange for Matthew Stafford, and also have someone come in and be passable at quarterback. So the team's somewhat competitive, but I think they know that it's kind of a rebuild. For Goff, who knows what this means? This could mean either he has a chance now to refine his ability and be less in the spotlight, because in LA, obviously, he was in the spotlight. There were a lot of expectations on him. Detroit, not so much. You don't really talk about Detroit that often. You don't see them, highlighted in the same way that you see LA highlighted. So I do think that for Goff, it could end up being a good thing. And for Detroit in general, I think it's going to end up being very good, because if they draft well, they could have a future of, this is a big haul for them. They now have all of their first round picks, which are probably, at least in the next 2 years, going to be pretty bad, or pretty good in their case. And then they also have the Rams picks. So they have all these picks coming up. They have Jared Goff at quarterback, so they don't necessarily need to draft a quarterback early on either. So I think this is a blockbuster trade. Like, I think this is like the first time since the 1960s that two first overall picks have been traded for each other. So this is insane, big day in the NFL, and a big move right before the Super Bowl. This trade obviously cannot happen until both of them have had their physicals, and also it cannot happen until the new league year begins in March. Another big thing to note is that Adam Schefter of ESPN did say that we could be seeing up to 15 quarterback moves. Right now, we've obviously seen the first domino fall, but the other dominoes that are probably going to fall as well are Deshaun Watson. His career in Houston looks like he's done with them. They're not necessarily done with him, but it's going to be really hard to convince him to come back. You have Mitch Trubisky, who's probably going to be out in Chicago. You have Derek Carr. We don't know what his future is going to be in Las Vegas. Made the mistake way too many times this year. And there's Jimmy G is another name. Cam Newton in New England. There's a lot of names out there that are going to be on the move, that are going to be on the market, that are going to change teams, and we're going to see the entire quarterbacking landscape of the NFL change dramatically. There's a few teams like Ravens, Chiefs, Packers, maybe Packers, got to take them out. But there's a few teams that Pat Mahomes isn't going anywhere. Lamar Jackson, they said that they're working on a contract. Tom Brady's leading his team to the Super Bowl. He's not going anywhere. So there's a few teams we know they're not, but a lot of those other teams, most of the other teams in the league, is kind of up in the air. So we'll see what happens with that. For more on this and all the other news, be sure to check out our live stream, Real Take Sports Talk, Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. And remember, keep it real.